Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Heightened Amazing Spectacular Terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut 2. Hope you like this video and hit that subscribe button. So as you know, the Marlins traded Luis Arraez to the Padres on a big blockbuster. They got three prospects and a reliever. And the Marlins are basically they're gonna have a fire sale now. When you trade your best player, I mean, to be honest with you, you could not have found yourself in a worse situation than the Marlins, because again, more turmoil in their front office. They made the postseason last year. They wouldn't give Kim Nang more authority. They were trying to put somebody ahead of her, and of course, they've had injuries to their pitching staff, in particular their starting staff, which was very talented last year, including Sandy Alcantara. And when you lose a guy who's a Cy Young Award winner, it's going to kill you. And that's before the season. Jesus Luzardo's on the injured list, and they've had multiple injuries to go forward with. I mean, it's a very difficult situation. But people are starting to talk about who they're going to move next. And I have this article from fansided.com. 5 Marlins players who could be traded next during the team fire sale. The Marlins fire sale is officially underway. Any of these 5 players could be next in line to get traded. Well, let's find out who this is. Shall we? Yes, we shall. Who's number 1? Well, this is an obvious one. Tim Anderson will be traded if any team wants him. The Marlins had an uneventful of an offseason as they could have, doing practically nothing to improve while losing key pieces like Arraez and David Robertson. The most expensive player that they signed was Tim Anderson, who inked a 1-year deal worth $5 million. I mean, he's a guy that was a shortstop and he's a second baseman, and then he's had a terrible year the last 2 years. The signing made some sense for the Marlins. He's a 2-time All-Star and a former batting champion. He hit over 304 straight seasons from 2019 to 2022 and has a Silver Slugger on his ledger as well. The reason he was available for such a cheap deal was because of his major struggles in 2023. He had just 1 home run and posted a 61 OPS plus. Wow. That means he was 39% worse than the average major leaguer. Wow. In 123 games last season. Marlins hoped he'd bounce back, but in 31 games this season, he has hit a putrid 223 slash line. He does have a home run, and this is a guy who's going to get released. He's not going to get traded. Number 4, Tanner Scott. Part of why the Marlins were able to squeak into the playoffs last season was their ability to win 1-run games at an absurd rate. For a team to win as many 1-run games as the Marlins did last year, they need shutdown innings from key relievers. The best reliever last season was Tanner Scott, who eventually settled in as the team's closer. He's going to get moved. Scott had struggled to find his footing as a major league reliever, but broke out in a big way last season, posting a 2.31 ERA and 74 appearances and 78 innings of work. He struck out 104 batters compared to just 24 walks. He had a 1.77 ERA and 62 appearances after a rough April. He was unhittable down the stretch. He's going to get moved, no doubt. Josh Bell going to get moved again. Ding! Wish my bell was here. Josh Bell, the trade that Kim Nang pulled off with the Cleveland Guardians at last year's trade deadline to acquire Josh Bell wound up working wonders for the 23 Marlins. Bell struggled in Cleveland but picked his game up in a big way in a Marlins uniform and was right in the middle of things down the stretch. Unfortunately, things haven't been the same in 24 for Bell, who has struggled mightily. He enters play on Saturday, slashing 181 with 4 homers and 11 RBIs in 34 games. He's a guy that could get moved. He can get traded. I don't think he'll be DFA'd or anything like that. Number 2, the Marlins can shock the baseball world by trade Jazz Chisholm Jr. When asked about his future with the Marlins, Bendix said, and that's the front office guy with the Marlins, Peter Bendix, said he didn't know if he'd be on the Marlins roster at the end of the season. That feels pretty telling. Well, that's probably a good chance he'll get moved. And the reason is very simple. He's fairly young. It's inexpensive. He has value. The Jesus Luzardo rumors will pick up steam after the Marlins trade Arraez. Okay. The 2 Marlins players that were involved in trade rumors the most of all this offseason was Arraez and Jesus Luzardo. Arraez is gone. Could Luzardo be next? Sure feels like it. Now, he's been dealing with an injury. And let me see. So, he's been dealing with an injury. So, I don't know. And he had not pitched well. And he doesn't, right now, he does not need Tommy John surgery, but he's dealing with elbow tightness. So, that's a guy that could get moved. I mean, he's an interesting player. He throws very hard. He still has a lot of potential. Next up are the Atlanta Braves. I saw the Atlanta Braves got their asses kicked by the Dodgers this past weekend. They beat up on them pretty good. They gave up a lot of home runs. Good to see. But according to Fansided.com, they say an MLB insider gives the Braves tremendous trade deadline leverage. Now, they are now currently in second place to the Phillies. And the Braves have a massive leg up on everyone. They choose to upgrade their rotation. As you know, Spencer Strider is out for the season. Even with Strider out for the season, the starting rotation has not been the problem for the title contending Atlanta Braves this year. Fans cited Robert Murray outlined a handful of interesting tidbits in his latest news and notes post about the MLB trade deadline. He not only mentioned that the Braves are doing great, that's Strider, but regular trade partners are sellers. But I would mention they did not perform well against the Dodgers. They beat them up pretty good. With Max Fried, Charlie Morton, and Chris Sale having pitched well at the front end. How did Chris Sale pitch so well again? Somebody explain that to me. He did not pitch well for a long time with the Red Sox. He couldn't stay healthy. As well as Reynaldo Lopez and Bryce Elder have more than held their own at the back end. Atlanta doesn't have to trade for a starting pitcher right this instant. With teams the Braves regularly do business with, White Sox, Angels, and Miami Marlins being bad, watch out. Atlanta has made plenty of trades with these three bottom feeders of late. The Braves added relief pitcher Aaron Bummer in a deal with Chicago. Raisel Iglesias used to pitch for the Halos. Even Adam Duvall spent some time down in South Beach. All three of these teams appear to be sellers. Thus, Atlanta may potentially land help by Jesus Luzardo, A.J. Puck, and Michael Kopech later this summer. Keep in mind that Atlanta has a deep farm system. They do. I always hear they always have a lousy farm system, and then they find somebody, out of nowhere, and the guy becomes a star. It doesn't make any sense with the Braves. I mean, really. I don't know what the hell they're doing down there. Where's their trash cans like they do in Houston? Now, here's some more from Fansided. This is just some trade chatter amongst some of the lesser teams. The White Sox. This is from Fansided. Among the most obvious trade candidates for the struggling White Sox include pitcher Mike Clevenger and outfielder Tommy Pham, well, that goes without saying, who both signed one-year contracts after opening day. Martin Maldonado figures to be an option for teams needing veteran catching help. Boy, the Mets could use a guy like him. A guy who can throw people out. One potentially intriguing trade option that teams figure to check in on is Eric Feed, who signed a 2-year, $50 million contract this offseason and is posted a 2.60 ERA. The Los Angeles Angels. Among the Angels players who drew trade interest this winter include infielder Luis Rengifo, outfielders Taylor Ward and Mickey Moniak, as well as reliever Jose Suarez and catcher Mike Thies. Relievers Matt Moore, Luis Garcia, and Adam Simber all signed to one-year contracts this offseason, figured to emerge as potential trade candidates as well. Some very interesting names going to be out there. I don't know what kind of active trade deadline we're going to have. A lot will depend, I think, on where the Mets finish, where the Mets are. The Mets are kind of in a weird spot right now because they've played well enough, but then they played poorly. But then they're around 500. So I don't know if they're going to do anything. But some of these other teams, the Marlins are definitely going to move more of their players or release them or DFA them or trade them, for a song. And obviously the White Sox are going to be moving players. A team that's not going to be moving anybody, that's the A's. They played really well. But this is going to be a very interesting. And I think it'll be a fun trade deadline situation here this year. It should be better than the last year. Last year was just dreadful. It wasn't like 2 years ago. But thank you for watching this video. And of course, please subscribe to Baseball Hut 2. I'll see you later.